Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, May 11th. This will be the final assignment for biology for this school year. Yay I don't know how you feel about it. It's a little bittersweet for me. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I wish we could have had a lot of our discussions that I really enjoyed this year. Sidetracking, though they were for the most part. I'm a distractible human being, and being stuck at the home and in the house bored is not as distracting as cycling through 224 of you over the course of every couple days. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys. I hope we can, at least get outside the summer, and hopefully I'll see you guys next school year. That said, last assignment is a scientific essay, and I'll get more into what that means from the homepage. First things first, fourth quarter, final submission for date for everything is now the 26th. I know I had some things that were due the 29th. That is now changed. They're all due the 26th. Grades are due the 29th. And so if you guys were turning stuff in up until midnight on the 29th and grades were submitted by me at 4, because that's a Friday and I try not to work after 4 on Fridays, you'd be out of luck. So the 26th is now the 26th at midnight. 28th is graduation, and all teachers are expected to participate in graduation. We don't know what that looks like yet. So that gives me the 27th and the 29th to finalize everybody's grades. So try to get it done before then. The faster you get it done, the more I can update grades, and I'll send out, random updates on where I'm at, and then you can check just to make sure that you are where you want to be moving forward. Okay, so everything's due the 26th now, May 26th, because grades are due the 29th. All right, at the bottom, if you click this link, you can also find it in modules. If you click this link, it'll bring up this assignment. Now, scientific essay. This is not a persuasive argument essay. It is not a sonnet. It is not any prescribed 3-paragraph essay where you have your intro, your body paragraphs, and your conclusion paragraphs. That's ELA. That's not what I'm about. What I'm looking forward to reading, and what I'm looking for, I've detailed down here. So this tells you about the assignment, and it's all about invasive species. Invasive species are a huge problem around the world. As soon as humans started moving around, we started moving animals with us. So things like horses were not native to North America. So old Western movies, they always have Native Americans on horses, and that's because Christopher Columbus brought them on his second voyage in 1493, along with cows, not native to North America either. So anyway, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be, and that's what I'm looking for you to explore in this assignment. So it's a 3-paragraph essay. It should be about a page, so 3 sentences won't cut it. Don't write me a whole novel. I don't need to read a book about it because I've read several. At the same time, find that middle ground. 3 solid paragraphs, 4 to 5 sentences each, golden. Right? I've assigned your invasive species by last name, so no confusion, no weird roll the dice thing. That was dumb. Well, we're all learning this thing, right? So you can read this. As always, if you have any questions about what I'm looking for, just email me and I'll call you back. If you say, hey, call me, I'll call you. Makes things a lot easier. So paragraph 1. What is an invasive species? How do they impact ecosystems? Why should we care? What is your species? Where is it native to? And when and how did it arrive in Utah? If you cannot find that information, then you either didn't look hard enough, or if it's one of those kind of invasive species where they know where it started and then it spread across the country, just say that. You don't need to say like on, you know, August 12th, 1902, or like the first time it was seen. That's always a good one too. Like we don't know when it got here, but it was first observed on blank. All right, paragraph 2, the impact the invasive species is having on populations of native plants and animals here in Utah. Some of them don't really have known impacts yet, but they have projections. So if you have one of those species, say, scientists are concerned that the impact will be this. So you don't have to have like it has killed 7 trees exactly. It has the potential to devastate forests or something like that. What impact will it have on people? This is where there's a disconnect I find between a lot of environmentalists like myself and people who just say, let nature take care of itself. They don't really quite realize the impact that some of these invasive species can have. So, an example would be something like rainbow trout. Rainbow trout are not native to Utah. Cutthroat trout are native to Utah. And because we brought in rainbow trout, they're out competing the cutthroat trout. And so, people that used to come to Utah to spend money on tourism and guided trips to catch cutthroat trout because they're only native to the riparian ecosystems here in the Intermountain West, they're harder to find and harder to catch, and so fewer people come. So it's impacting people's livelihoods, their jobs, the economy. And if you can find an economic impact, that usually gets everybody on board where there's like, oh, snap, I could lose a lot of money. Well, let's get rid of that thing. Can it make you sick? Does it cause damage? Um, so things like raccoons. Raccoons are invasive in Japan. They're actually invasive here too. They're not native to the Salt Lake Valley. But they're invading all these old Buddhist temples and they're just ripping them to shreds. Really. And then paragraph 3, like, are people trying to get rid of it? Or is it something like rainbow trout where we're actively re-releasing them every single spring? So as a sport fish, I mean, some are beneficial. If they are, if they are trying to get rid of them, what is being done? If it's a plant, are they just ripping it out? Are they burning it? I don't know. Does climate change make the fight easier or harder? This is one of those things you cannot say for certain. There's nothing that is like, for certain. But in the case of raccoons, raccoons are not native to Canada. As the globe warms, on average, over time, the range of raccoons is moving further and further north. And so they're entering these habitats where they've never existed before. And there's animals there that like to live in the same places and eat the same food as a raccoon, but a raccoon is a vicious creature, so yeah, raccoon, weird animal fight. Are we successful? And then in conclusion, what are your thoughts on invasive species in general? And what do you think we can ever get rid of them completely? So if your last name starts with A through D, you're doing cheatgrass. E through H, you're doing the European starling. I through L, spotted wing Drosophila. That's kind of a fruit fly. M through P, quagga mussels. Any boater out there knows quagga mussels. Q through T, tamarisk. Anybody who loves Canyonlands National Park knows the tamarisk. Or pretty much any river here in Utah, Jordan River too. And then U through Z, surprising one, the white-tailed deer. Not native to Utah. Might excite some hunters out there, but not native. Beloved mule deer is native. I was gonna write a sample essay, and I started writing one on tumbleweeds because the symbol of the American West, the tumbleweed, that's actually it's called the Russian thistle. It's from Russia. And as I started writing it, I realized that you guys could just copy what I'm writing. So, not going to do that. But if I was going to write something on the tumbleweed, I would start off with, what is an invasive species? and they can impact ecosystems because they outcompete native plants and animals. We should care about that because our ecosystem has evolved over countless millennia and millions of years to have a careful balance between predators and prey and producers, decomposers and consumers, and an invasive species that comes in and just obliterates trophic level. Trophic means like, like a food chain. So you have your producers, which are like the plants and animals, and you have your consumers, which are like deer. Then you have more consumers like wolves and things. And then your decomposers eat the dead deer. And then that goes back down into the producer level. That's a troph. TROPH. Um, and then my Russian thistle, the American tumbleweed, it's a Russian thistle. And you go back in time, nobody really knows how it got here. Probably got tracked here in a cargo ship. Some seeds sprouted, and away it went. Anybody who's ever seen, like when I worked out in Harriman, we would get these winds, and then the tumbleweeds would pile up against the fences like mountains. It was ridiculous. And then part of our service projects as a school was we'd have to go take the tumbleweeds, glove up because they're spiky. And the reason why they're such a good competitor, by the way, is as they blow away, they spread seeds. That's their seed dispersal mechanism. It's actually really quite elegant. So instead of relying on wind or wind to like carry the seeds like a dandelion, the wind just blows away the whole plant. Kind of cool. All right. So then I would describe the impact that it's having. It outcompetes native things like sagebrush. It's not really edible. Like nothing here eats it, so there's nothing to keep its population under control. Farmers are constantly having to get rid of it, and they're extremely flammable. And rural communities have to constantly mitigate these tumbleweeds because they create these huge tinderboxes that can actually set farms houses on fire. It's happened before. Or fields. A tumbleweed that's on fire that's still rolling can spread that fire. And fire is a huge source of concern here in Utah, uh, economically, and because of lives lost because of fires. So tumbleweeds are actually pretty dangerous. You wouldn't think so just by looking at them. Can it cause damage? Yeah, fire damage. Can't really make you sick though. And yeah, people are constantly trying to get rid of them. I mean, we'll never get rid of all of them, but there's constant efforts trying to mitigate the amount of tumbleweeds that we have here in the state. So it's one of those constant battles that we're waging is against this silly Russian thistle that probably came here on a ship hundreds and hundreds of years ago, so far away that now when we watch an old Western movie, so like 1840, something like that, John Wayne, pew pew, there's a tumbleweed because they were already here. That a little bit more professional for your essay, of course, because I'm just saying this right off the top of my head. All right, y'all. It was a pleasure being your teacher this year. I miss each and every one of you, without exception. And yeah, stop by my room next year, drop off a meme, talk some science, just say hi. I don't even know if we'll be handshaking by then, but I'll definitely give you the elbow bump. All right, guys. I miss y'all.